So this video is intended for anyone that feels stuck, overwhelmed, or unable to relax. This video will be broken down into 3 different sections as we dive into what is causing these issues, or what is stopping us from being in our calm state. Over the last couple of weeks, I've taken time to research and put together some of my own thoughts and combining them with psychological concepts or theories in order to really get a better understanding on what is causing my problems. And I felt things that a lot of people feel, the constant work mode that doesn't go away, the fear, the lack of motivation in certain aspects, because it's kind of crazy. So in certain aspects of my life, I felt extra motivated, but I lost motivation in others. It's kind of like I was being pushed into the things that I enjoy over the things that I kind of like force myself to do, And in a sense, like, for example, my gym motivation's been at a high while my work motivation has been at a low. And that's kind of crazy to me because for a while it was the opposite. My work motivation was higher than my gym motivation. And on top of that, I've felt like I've been being pulled towards the things that, I want to do. And it made me realize that I kind of like let go of the things that I wanted to do so I could focus on work and the things that, are directly in front of me instead of the things that I want for myself. So, I've dealt with anxiety since I was a kid. I've, been, I've been to therapy. I've talked to a lot of people about it. I've grown out of certain aspects. I dealt with a lot of anger growing up, and then that anger became emotional instability and, hard to control, emotions. Like I had a big lack of emotional control. And that led me to spiraling, out of control and not allowing myself to feel the feelings that I'm supposed to feel. And, this avoidance, this lack of acceptance to my problems really messed me up. I thought that if I ran away from the problems, then everything would be okay. I never realized how important looking my problems in the face would be. So we're gonna call this step 1. Understanding your specific problem, whether that's you're overworked, whether that's something simple like you need a break. You need to come to terms with that, and don't avoid it for too long, because then you're gonna crash even harder. Come to accept the fact that you feel this way, and that is okay because you're a human being. And in a sense, you coming to terms with this feeling is you understanding that your feelings matter too. And I know it's harder to say because the world pushes us to work, and follow this specific path, but maybe that's not the path for you. And maybe you have to take, a slight turn. Maybe you have to take a step back and reevaluate where you are at. So we're going to talk about high functioning anxiety and anxiety as a whole. So high functioning anxiety is that work mode that never ends, that I need to do this to feel productive, that I can't rest because I need to feel something. I don't feel anything when I'm not being productive, and I'm not, going and physically doing something that I can feel is making an impact in my life or someone else's life. It's that, those conversations that never happen in your head, but you want to happen, constantly going on. It's the what ifs, the paying attention to a simple tone switch. It's the constant scenarios in the head, and the worst case scenario constantly ripping through your mind. And the way I've dealt with this personally is understanding that everyone's human. And everyone has their own lives going on. And I've accepted the fact that because everyone has such different perspectives and things, if we don't communicate the way that we feel in certain aspects, then they're never going to just be able to tell. It's not how it works. It's not magical. And in order to understand that within yourself, you have to understand others. And after you understand that everyone is human and, they have their own values, their own perspectives to things, then you could look within yourself. And you could, kind of like maneuver your way around why you're thinking about something so deeply. Why does this make you care so much? Why does this make you feel this way? For example, when someone's tone switches when they're talking to you, they might just be tired. They might be unaware that what they're doing is making you feel a certain way. And that is okay. That is why you should communicate. And I know sometimes we're scared to be honest, be open with our friends, but in order for friendships to, grow, because the whole point, we're all supposed to grow together. In order for friendships to grow, you have to communicate the things that you disagree with, as you should be open to hearing the things that they may disagree with, So in order to line up everything together, you have to put your perspective out there, and you have to be open to listening to their perspective at the same time. That can create a working relationship, right? That can bring people together. That can push you to grow more. And I feel like social media has kind of like created this sense that, people have to be active 24/7. No. Time apart is more than enough. Like time apart is a little too important. Because so when you're feeling this overwhelming sense of work, or you need to do this, that's when you have to take a step back. And that goes beyond relationships, friendships. That goes into work, into real life, into your disciplines. Take a step back and evaluate yourself. And not only evaluate yourself, take a break. Take some time to breathe and to be yourself. And because I realized that the more you get sucked into this work cycle, the farther away you get from the things that you want to do. Because let's be honest, we're not all in the careers that we want to be in, right? Even if it's for right now, for the time being, who knows how long it's going to be until we are able to do the things that, we really dream of, the things that make us, feel good, the things that make us happy. Because unfortunately, not all passion, not all real passions are, able to buy houses. And that's okay, because we can't, the priority will always be ourselves, right? So look beyond work. Your scope of mind should not be work, right? Your life is so much more than work. So every now and then I tell myself two things. I tell myself, your life is right in front of you, right? That's kind of like a look here, right? Like stop wondering, stop, trying to make other things click that haven't clicked it or aren't meant to click. And look here, look right in front of you, look at what's in front of you and focus just on that. And that allows me to click out the noise that's in my head. And the other thing is shift your focus. And I love this phrase so much because this phrase allows you to change perspectives. Shift your focus means, because let me explain it. So when you're looking at a table, right, you can look at it in two different ways: as a literal table or somewhere where people can eat, right? And changing the focus changes it from some useless thing that's in the kitchen to something with use. And that can be for all things, right? And in a sense, when you look at something different, you can find its use, you can find its purpose. So shift your focus means open up your perspective, your understanding to it. And that is, when that goes with anger. So when something's making you mad, or when you're just mad because you're mad and you can't really explain it to yourself, shift your focus. Look at it a different way. Understand that, mistakes can happen, or, maybe you're overreacting. Maybe it's really not that deep. That used to happen to me a lot on the road. Last year I was working a job I didn't like, and while working that job I didn't like, I would just get mad. I would get these like bursts of anger. I'll just be irritated at everything for no reason. And that's when I started telling myself this phrase where, I'll get something wouldn't go my way at work and I'll be pissed off, and then I'll just think about it. Shift your focus, right? You're at work. Some people right now are sending 400 applications and nothing. You're at work. So you have at least something going. Some type of money is getting in, and that's okay. So, don't overlook certain things, but understand that sometimes you just have to look at it differently. So when you get mad or, irritated or don't really know, shift your focus. So now it's something that a lot of people skip. It's taking a step back to reevaluate, to get to understand yourself. Sometimes we get these cycles of anger, of, we're irritated more than we should be, where things bother us that shouldn't bother us. And instead of what a lot of people do, and I did this myself, especially a lot last year, instead of taking a step back to understand what's going on internally, I kind of let it drag on until somebody brought it up to me, until somebody made me realize that, I've been doing certain things wrong. And that helped a lot of things click at once. And, I realized I had to take a step back to understand myself. It's not always your environment. Sometimes you have to look internally, because once everything is all right internally, it'll be good externally. So in order for us to get that glow back, in order for us to feel alive again, we have to understand what's causing our issues. And sometimes that's too much involvement, overvaluing things, being involved in the lives of others too much, or even trying too hard for things to go a certain way when that's just not the way it's supposed to go. And that's hard to say, because sometimes we want something to go our way more than anything. Like, think of sports, for example. I know at some point in your life, especially the men, it was NBA. And then you realized one day that you were, hey, I'm 5'10". And then it kind of the dream just disappeared. It just went away. And putting that down was the hardest thing ever at the time, because, okay, I've dedicated years of my life growing up to this. I've dedicated my entire childhood to this. How can I just let it go? And, that's when you learn a completely new version of yourself. The you that isn't just basketball or soccer or football. The you that's more than just an athlete. And even athletes eventually have to do this. Why do you think a lot of people get depressed when they have to retire? Or a lot of people lose themselves after retirement? Because they never met the not completely focused on the sport version of themselves. This happens a lot to fighters, where they don't know anything about themselves besides fighting. That's why a lot of fighters later in their careers, they fall into this emotional hole where they're like, who am I without the gloves? And you really have to get to know yourself to the point where things don't affect you, because you know how to deal with them. And that's the fun thing about living and life as a whole and getting older. You'll have to adapt to these things and make your changes, shift your focus. And, it's a constant growth that no matter how old you get, you're personally going to change. Your character isn't always going to be the same. And, in you reevaluating and learning yourself a little better, you'll learn how to deal with everything and have it affect you less and less. All right. So sometimes you just have to take 2-3 days to yourself. That's okay. Sometimes you have to take 2-3 days to realize, hey, I haven't been sleeping much. For the next 2-3 days, I'm not going to do this extra thing that keeps me up late at night. I'm going to sleep. And that reset will have a really positive effect on you. So I did this 3-day nervous system mental health reset last week. And what I did was exactly what I just told you. So In this 3-day nervous system reset, what I did was I acknowledged the fact that I have not been sleeping well. I was getting 4 or 5 hours. So I said, okay, for the next 3 days, I'm going to get 6 to 8 hours. So the first day I got 6, the next day I got 7, the last day I got 8 hours. Additionally to the sleep, I put the phone down for a little bit. I let my mind actually, process thoughts on its own without clinging to something. And the most important thing I did was breathe. When something would make me react, instead of, taking my phone out and ignoring it, I'll just breathe and face it. And, and this is obviously work related for the most part. And that gave me a new understanding of the things that were bothering me that made me feel overwhelmed. And in a sense, it brought that calm with it as well. And, the end result was this calm mentality, this mental peace I haven't felt in a while. And that's been a huge game changer for me this last week. I felt really calm. And it was just from 3 days. So I'm sure try doing the same. It's nothing crazy. It's just, a little more sleep. Don't force yourself to be productive at night just because you feel like you lack during the day. And just see how it goes for you. Take a step back and show up for yourself for 3 days. And to wrap things off, understand how good you're doing and be proud of yourself. Don't be overly proud to the point where you end up, full of pride, but be understanding of where you are currently and look back, smile real quick, and look at the present. Don't look at tomorrow. Just look at today. Just for now, give me just today. And your issues are gonna slowly go away as you figure them out, as you accept them, and as you evaluate them. Take a step back, and I hope everything in this video was something that you were able to relate to, and hopefully you've made it this far. To those that have, thank you, and thank you for your effort. Thank you for showing up for yourself. So second half of the year is coming up, so take that with you. Show up for yourself. I know sometimes we want to help others as much as possible, but sometimes we have to understand that who's going to be there for us, but with the right environment, the right company, with God and with ourselves, that's the recipe. So show up for yourself, be confident, and relax sometimes. You earned it. Take initiative, but don't forget that you're alive and your life is right in front of you. All right. So don't look back. All right. Take the next 6 months are going to be beautiful. And these next 6 months are going to be more than what you're expecting. You're going to destroy all expectations. And that takes a lot of your part, right? So all you have to do is show up for yourself.